What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about the offensive line. And you know, I finished up covering every draft pick that we drafted in this year's draft. So that leads me to the next major upgrade / additions that we did with the offensive line, and I think that this is honestly a significant piece going into this current season. We understand how last year really ended up and how it finished out, and it was not good from an offensive line standpoint. So we're going to cover the whole thing really from the get-go all the way to the very end. So if you're interested in covering the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, I suggest you stay tuned right after this. We dive in and start talking about this revamped powerhouse offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs, I ask that you guys smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, comment down below, and now it's time to get into the video. Let's go. You know, in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, going into last year, the start of the season, I don't feel we had a terrible offensive line. I mean, you had Pro Bowler Eric Fisher, you had Osemele, you had Andrew Wiley, you had Austin Ryder, you had Mike Remmers, you had Mitchell Schwartz, you had Nick Allegretti, you had Yasir Durant. I mean, you drafted Lucas Niang. Unfortunately, he had to sit out due to the pandemic. Same goes for LDT, who went and just did a mad service for the pandemic. He is the doctor, ladies and gentlemen, and so he obviously opted out for the pandemic. But going into it, you know, that looked like a decent offensive line, something that Patrick Mahomes could easily work with to hit his targets, his weapons, and lead us again back to the Super Bowl, which is exactly what happened. But along the way, injuries happened, and along the way, people started having to play in different spots, maybe things that they just were not 100% familiar with or comfortable with. That's just the way it went, and then by the time it got to the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen, we were literally driving on one wheel, it felt like, and we saw that in the Super Bowl. I mean, yes, we went against a very elite defense with a very good pass rush, but, you know, they weren't throwing all the books at us. I mean, they were not rushing everybody that they had, and that's what was pretty crazy to see is that, you know, Sue was doing some things, Jason Pierre-Paul was doing some things, but outside of that, you know, in all honesty, they just played a good defensive, you know, game. And that's just how it happened. Our offensive line was just very beaten up. Eric Fisher was out with a torn Achilles. You know, Mitchell Schwartz needed back surgery. So in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, by the time we got to the Super Bowl, it was holding on by duct tape. That completely changed, and you could tell that right after the Super Bowl, it was like a match was lit. And Brett Veach, I'm sure, went to the lab and started figuring out a way with Andy Reid on how they can revamp this offensive line. And ladies and gentlemen, they did 100%. So we're going to dive in now and really talk about what we can expect from this year's offensive line, who we added, and ladies and gentlemen, this looks incredible. So we know leading into the draft that clearly offensive line was going to be a need. We knew that left tackle was going to be something that we were looking at, and we knew for a fact there was a good chance something was going to happen there at pick 31, which is where the Kansas City Chiefs were to pick in the first round. And then, bam, ladies and gentlemen, Brett Veach trades the 31st pick plus some others for left tackle from the Baltimore Ravens in Orlando Brown. It was absolutely epic, and it was just mind-blowing that we went out and got one of the best offensive tackles in the game. You know, we knew that the Kansas City Chiefs were pushing hard to get Trent Williams, and that just didn't happen. He ended up choosing to go back to the San Francisco 49ers. It was a late push, you know, from the San Francisco 49ers. Otherwise, I do feel that he would have been in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform, no question. But then we sign left guard, all-pro Joe Thuney. So right there immediately, completely upgraded the left side of your offensive line, and it's just absolutely incredible to see that upgrade happen just that quick. they go out and they sign Austin Blythe, who is coming over to us from the Los Angeles Rams. But they then go ahead and draft Creed Humphrey in the draft, which, you know, in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, I did a video on Creed Humphrey, and it is just absolutely to see his ability to play the center position. He can snap it with both hands. He's very quick in his hips, and he just does some amazing things because of his background in wrestling. So, you know, I cannot speak highly enough about Creed. And there's a good chance that there's going to be a good competition there at the center position between Austin Blythe and Creed Humphrey for that starting role. Then you have right guard. So we understand that LDT is coming back from his service as a doctor. He chose to come back and play for the Kansas City Chiefs. But with that being said, also the Kansas City Chiefs go sign Kyle Long to a one-year deal. Kyle Long, absolutely amazing in the Chicago Bears organization, retired for a year, really to get his health and get back on track, and he decides to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs for 1 year. But immediately following that, they go ahead and draft Trey Smith from Tennessee. Absolutely just fell into their hands there in the 6th round. Absolutely incredible. You know, he was projected to be a 3rd-round pick. Due to some health issues and really some question marks around that, we do believe he fell to the 6th round. You know, with the Kansas City Chiefs and their medical staff, you know, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And we really did get a steal of a player. You know, when I covered his video, I was just mind blown at his ability to just finish plays, his aggressiveness as an offensive lineman. I really think he is going to be a special player for Kansas City. And what is nice about, you know, these young players is the fact that they have all pro linemen in front of them. And it's not even necessarily that they're in front of them, but they could be there as mentors. They could teach them maybe techniques, strategies, things that they're just not aware of, you know, and learn from these veterans who have been doing it. I mean, that's what's absolutely incredible. So not only did the Kansas City Chiefs really go out and revamp, you know, that offensive line, but they go ahead and created such an amazing depth opportunity. So, you know, obviously you have LDT, you have Kyle Long, and then you have Andrew Wiley back there. So currently at right tackle, you have Mike Rimmers. You know, he's coming back from that offensive line from last year. But you have Lucas Niang right there. And so it'd be interesting to see, again, another competition that is going to be had at the right tackle position is going to be between Mike Rimmers and Lucas Niang. Who comes out on top? Maybe the young stud we drafted, or is it going to be the sneaky veteran there, Mike Rimmers? So to give you guys the full overview, the full depth chart, again, we're looking at left tackle Orlando Brown, Martinez Rankins, who came to us from the Houston Texans a while back. You have Joe Tooney, Nick Allegretti, and Trey Smith. You have Austin Blythe, Creed Humphrey, and Darrell Williams. You have LDT, you have Kyle Long, Andrew Wiley, and you have Mike Rimmers, Lucas Niang, and you have Prince, looks like Taga Wagu. So, you know, those are exactly the offensive linemen and the depth. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, I do feel that the depth is a significant piece because that is where we struggled significantly last year. When an injury would happen, someone would have to completely shift out of position, and they'd have to kind of rotate in. And it's not that these players can't do that, but when you have the depth to immediately plug someone in who is just extremely comfortable with that position, loves to play that position, that's where you need to be, you know, and that's what I wanted to see. You know, another significant piece that I really wanted to talk about too is we understand that the Kansas City Chiefs are a high-powered throwing offense. No question, when you have one of the best, if not the best, quarterbacks in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes, there's no question that you're going to throw the ball a lot. And then you obviously have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, Mecole Hardman. You know, you go out and draft Noah Gray. You go out and draft, you know, Powell. You go out and you get all these guys to fill in and help support and really create depth. You still have Marcus Kemp. I mean, really, ladies and gentlemen, the depth at the receiver position, the tight end position is just amazing. But one thing I don't want people to forget about is the fact that we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield. We go out and sign Jerick McKinnon as more of support. We still have Darrell Williams back there as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I do expect this offensive line to help support that run game. And that is something that, Andy Reid does enjoy doing, is running the football. And, that's what's going to be absolutely amazing to see, is the fact that we are probably going to hand off the football more to Clyde and let Clyde at least do some, running. That was one thing that we at least accomplished in the Super Bowl last year. And it would have been nice just to see them maybe continuously get the football to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He kept pounding it through the gaps. It just unfortunate we got behind, and that's kind of what we had to start resulting into the throwing, and that's where Patrick Mahomes is running over the field. But I don't want you guys to forget the fact that we do have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We used a first-round pick on him, and I think he still provides such a massive, massive service to the Kansas City Chiefs within the running game. I appreciate you swinging by and checking out this video on the revamped offensive line. I really wanted to kind of just talk this through and start out where we began and really where we end. You see those things all over social media. It's like where we were to where we are now, and that's kind of like exactly what happened in this situation. We went from a pretty decent line to a very, very, very good offensive line. So it's going to be absolutely exciting to see how the season really takes off with that completely revamped offensive line. I do appreciate you guys swinging by and checking out this video. I do want to remind you guys, please smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. Make sure you comment below so we can get that engagement. I can talk with you guys. That's one of the biggest things I enjoy on this channel, is the fact that I can have conversations with the viewers. So please comment down below. And as always, I appreciate you swinging by and checking out the beat of KC. Have a good one.